Nah.
Son just takes care of me when Mom's not around.
Cool. Give me help with that. Oh. Hey.
Annika used to help more with the mining, but nowadays she's a bit of a bounder.
Their Keithus used to take me diving way down deep in the river. I miss him.
He ever mentioned anything else? I wouldn't worry about it. He's a bit... I do love my wife. Just wish she'd get her head out of the clouds. What are you doing that for? If you want some information about the area, Annika knows it better than anyone. Sometimes I feel like Annika cares more about finding new rocks than being with me. I'll take your word on that one, my dear.
Yeah.
Need something?
So
Sweetheart, did you move my pickaxe?
It's at the south end, near that loose rock pile.
So you can be helpful sometimes.
No need to get snippy.
Hey, Annik.
I used to be an adventurer in my day. Then I settled down, got married.
Stony Creek Cave is free of bandits.
You remind me of myself a few years ago. Let me show you a little bit about wearing light armor. It's helped me out whenever I was scouting. Now I've got the itch to travel again. If you're leaving town, I wouldn't mind coming with for a while.
Oh. Okay, follow me. I need your help.
Lead the way.
Oh. Well, we're gonna go back to the manor and I'm gonna drop some stuff off. We'll be going out on an adventure. Alright. And
What
it's
do you need?
nothing. So me and Annik will see you back at the manor. See ya. Well, hello, I just arrived home. Hey, Neki.
A fine steading like this needs a good steward. I'd be happy to take on that position if you'd like.
I'd be honored to have you as my steward.
Thank you. Let me know if you have anything you need from me. I'm at your service.
Okay. Thank you.
What do you need, my friend?
Oh, nothing. Just gonna throw my miscellaneous stuff in here. Bowl. Goblet. That'll be about it.
Oh yeah? Well, I've seen mud crabs that are smarter than you. Horker face.
Horker face.
Skeever brain. Wolf breath. I'm gonna get you for that.
Hey,
You can't catch me. Hi, Papa.
enough. Lucia, go to your room. Cut it out, both of you.
Aww.
Hey, Runa,
Papa!
I got something for you.
You got me a present? Really?
A green apple. 2 of them.
Thanks.
Hey, Lucia.
Hmm?
I got something for you. Lucia,
Need something?
I got something for
You
you.
got me a present?
2 green apples. Go outside. Oh, well, I'm just gonna get a few hours nap. I'll see you when I get up. See ya. Well, hello there. Just at my house, my manor. There's about 4 people living here. All women. I'm gonna read a book called Breathing Water by Halil Merm. He walked through the dry, crowded streets of Balfell, glad to be among so many strangers. In the wharfs of Vivek, he had no such anonymity. They knew him to be a smuggler, but here he could be anyone. A lower-class peddler, perhaps? A student, even. Some people even pushed against him as he walked past, as if to say, "We would not dream of being so rude as to acknowledge that you don't belong here." Serene Relis was not in any of the taverns, but he knew she was somewhere, perhaps behind a tenement window or poking around in a dunghill for an exotic ingredient for some spell or another. He knew little of the ways of sorceresses, but they always seemed to be doing something eccentric. Because of this prejudice, he nearly passed by the old dumber woman having a drink from a well. It was too prosaic, but he knew from the look of her that she was SKYRIM, the great sorceress. "I have gold for you," he said to her back, "if you will teach me the secret of breathing water." She turned around. A wide, wet grin stretched across her weathered features. "I ain't breathing it, boy. I'm just having a drink." "Don't mock me," he said stiffly. "Either you're Swain Willis, or you will teach me the spell of breathing water, or you aren't. Those are the only possibilities. If you're going to learn to breathe water, you're going to have to learn there are more possibilities than that, boy. The school of alteration is all about possibilities, changing patterns, making things be what they could be. Maybe I ain't Serene Willis, but I can teach how to breathe water." She wiped her mouth dry. "Or maybe I am Serene Willis, and I won't. Or maybe even I can teach you to breathe water, but you can't learn." "I'll learn," he said simply. "Why don't you just buy yourself a spell of water breathing or a potion over at the Mages Guild?" she asked. "That's how it's generally done." "They're not powerful enough," he said. "I need to be underwater for a long time. I'm willing to pay whatever you ask, but I don't want any questions. I was told you could teach me." "What's your name, boy?" "That's a question," he replied. His name was Tharian Winloth, but in Vivek they called him the Tall Man. His job, such as it was collecting a percentage of the loot from the smugglers when they came into harbor to bring to his boss in the Kamantong. Of the value of that percentage, he earned another percentage. In the end, it was very small indeed. He had scarcely any gold of his own, and what he had he gave to Cern Relis. The lessons began that very day. The sorceress brought her pupil, who she simply called Boy, out to a low sandbank along the sea. "I will teach you a powerful spell for breathing water," she said, "but you must become a master of it. As with all spells and all skills, you? No, sorry. As with all spells and all skills, the more you practice, the better you get. Even that ain't enough. To achieve true mastery, you must understand what it is you're doing. It ain't simply enough to perform a perfect thrust of a blade. You must also know what you are doing and why. That's common sense, said Therian. Yes, it is, said Surin, closing her eyes, but the spells of alteration are all about uncommon sense. The infinite possibilities breaking the sky, swallowing space, dancing with time, setting ice on fire, believing that the unreal may become real. You must learn the rules of the cosmos and then break them. That sounds very difficult, replied Therian, trying to keep a straight face. Cern pointed to the small silver fish darting along the water's edge. They don't find it so. They breathe water just fine. But that's not magic. What I'm saying to you, boy, is that it is. For several weeks, Cern drilled her student, and the more he understood about what he was doing, and the more he practiced, the longer he could breathe underwater. When he found that he could cast a spell for as long as he needed, he thanked the sorceress and bade her farewell. There's one last lesson I have to teach you, she said. You must learn that desire is not enough. The world will end your spell no matter how good you are, and no matter how much you want it. That's a lesson I'm happy not to learn, he said, and left at once for the short journey back to Vivek. The wharfs were much the same, with all the same smells, the same sounds, and the same characters. His boss had found a new tollman, he learned from his mates. They were still looking out for the smuggler ship Morodrung, but they had given up hope of ever seeing it. Therian knew they would not. He had seen it sink from the wharf a long time ago. On a moonless night, he cast his spell and dove into the thrashing purple waves. He kept his mind on the world of possibilities. That books could sing, that green was blue, that water was air, that every stroke and kick brought him closer to a sunken ship filled with treasure. He felt Magicka surge all around him as he pushed his way deeper down. Ahead he saw a ghostly shadow of the Morodrung, its mass billowing in a wind of deep water currents. He also left his spell begin to fade. He also felt his spell begin to fade. He could break reality long enough to breathe water all the way back up to the surface, but not enough to reach the ship. The next night he dove again, and this time the spell was stronger. He could see the vessel in detail, clouded over and dusted in sediment. The wound in its hull where it had struck the reef, a glint of gold beckoning from within. But still he felt reality closing in, and he had to surface. The third night he made it into the steerage, past the bloated corpses of the sailors, nibbled and picked apart by fish, their glassy eyes bulging, their mouths stretched open. Had they only known the spell, he thought briefly, but his mind was more occupied by the gold scattered along the floor. Excuse me. The boxes that contained them shattered. He considered scooping as much as he could carry into his own pockets, but a sturdy iron box seemed to bespeak more treasures. On the wall was a row of keys. He took each down and tried it on the locked box, but none opened it. One key, however, was missing. The alien looked around the room. Where could it be? His eyes went to the corpse of one of the sailors, floating in a dance of death, not far from the box, his hands tightly clutching something. It was a key. When the ship had begun to sink, the sailor had evidently gone for the iron box. Whatever was in it had to be very valuable. Thalion took the sailor's key and opened the box. It was filled with broken glass. He rummaged around until he felt something solid, and pulled out 2 flasks of some kind of wine. He smiled as he considered the foolishness of the poor alcoholic. This was what was important to the sailor, out of all the treasure in the Morodrung. Then suddenly Thalion Winloth felt reality. He had not been paying attention to the grim, tireless advance of the world on his spell. It was fading away, his ability to breathe underwater. There was no time to surface, there was no time to do anything. As he sucked in, his lungs filled with cold, briny water. A few days later, the smugglers working on the wharf came upon the drowned body of the former tollman. Finding a body in the water in Vivek was not in itself noteworthy, but the subject that they discussed over many bottles of Flynn was how did it happen that he drowned with 2 potions of water breathing in his hands. Well, toss that back in on the shelf. Okay, let's just see what I got from this. Okay. I'm going back to my little shrine in the backyard.